May 14, 2025. This is the S&P 500 E-futures mini on the 2000 tick chart using NinjaTrader 8. A little messy. What the chart looked like today. It was just very sideways, and total range you could tell from the highs to the lows was only about 35 points, but it spent the majority of the time probably oscillating between, I would say, 10 to 15 points. This is how I drew up the charts today. It was after the correction yesterday, or the sell-off at the end of the day, it just kind of chopped sideways, and then on the open, it wasn't much different. It was just a lot of sideways price action. Overall, you could say it was probably trading in a gigantic range that really didn't confirm too many times. So I played these smaller ranges and also these smaller support areas and these legs. Trading was a little easier today than it was yesterday, I would say. And I was able to find some setups. I took a total of one trade and it was profitable. There are a couple other trades I think were probably worth maybe worth consideration, but I didn't take those. So I'm going to get into the trades right now. There was no economic data that came out to really move the markets. And I think, I'm not 100% sure. I just heard on the news wire certain things was either Trump said something or just his administration, but it's just kind of the normal operations of the day lately where news comes out from the Trump administration about tariffs or economic deals or something. So it's just really hard to prepare for those. So you do well. I do what I can, what I best I can. So on the pre-market, there wasn't actually that much volume. I don't know what caused this gigantic spike and also what caused this gigantic rally at 3 to 4 a.m. Pacific Standard. I imagine it was probably some news put out by the administration because Trump is in the Middle East right now, and I think they're on I think like 12 or 15 hours difference from us. So anything, if you're trading the overnight, you could probably take advantage of something like this, but I don't. So then it pushes up in this green channel, breaks, tests the high, comes back down, breaks with the green down channel, tests the low, kind of oscillates back up, and this is just noisy. So on the open, there is a new low. It's a first entry short pullback. There's a second entry short right here, but the signal bar is terrible. It's also inside bar, comes down. You could say it's a first entry short, second entry short failure, but when I see this bar before this bar prints, I'm not thinking failure yet because I don't really have this yellow up channel established. And so it just kind of gradually moves up, hits the high of the day, flushes down. So you have a first entry long pullback, second entry long. Second entry long fails right here, but when you see this signal bar, you're not even thinking of shorting just yet because the signal bar isn't very strong. It pushes down. Any attempts for a lower high like this one, it's just too far from the setup now, so you leave it alone. Continues pushing down, kind of bottoms out. I drew this as a supporting channel, it's not a range yet, but it is a support area. I noticed a triple test. It's a new high. It's a first entry long pullback. This could be a second entry long, but it's also a triple test. It also tested the low. It looks like it broke. Trying to make one attempt down. I saw this as the second attempt. Pushes up. Here you actually get your second entry long. So it's first entry long pullback. You get your second entry long. So when I saw this as a triple test, I saw this open, break below, and it starts reversing up. So when I start sawing this reverse up, there's a break of the yellow orange down channel. I think it's not really going to test the lows again. It was hitting this support area and it's following a triple test. So when it ticked one tick below and engulfed this guy, I had my order ready because I saw it was 1, 2, 3 attempts to break through. And I figured if it did break through, it probably would have enough momentum for at least a quick 1 point scalp. So that's where I dropped in my order. It pushes up, I get the fill, and then it just continues upwards. So also kind of saw this as a higher low, but I was thinking more second entry long, but it was another higher low confirmation off a triple test here. Pushes up. So initially I had this drawn as a resistance, this dark blue line. So I thought it was a fail breakout. Pushes down. So it's a new low. It's a first entry short, second entry short, technically a lower high. You also can see a first entry long, second entry long failure, but I just didn't like the setup as this was unfolding. It's just too sideways. Pushes down, bounces here. So this blue line doesn't exist yet. Comes back up. I see this as another failed breakout. So it's a new low. Here's a first entry short pullback, potential second entry short. Now I reversed it. I had a resistance up here, and then I switched the lines because I initially had the resistance down here and then or channel range down here, and I treated this as a failed breakout. Then I later dragged it up to here because it fit better. So it's like first entry short, second entry short, starts entering. So this is a possible trade. It was a test at the top of the range. It's a good signal bar, enough room to the EMA, enough room to the support and resistance right down here. It flushes down, hits this, creates multiple tests, but here I'm not thinking of going long just yet. Then here you get the strong reversal and a strong engulfing bar. So if you're more aggressive, I mean, I wouldn't have tried to take this on engulfing. I might have considered maybe taking it the highs of this. It would have worked. Presses down. Now it looks like it's hitting this previous trading range resistance I had up here. But then I actually dragged it up here. Pushes down. It creates a new high. It's a first entry long pullback, second entry long, and then pulled back. So it's technically a second entry long that has failed, but it's also a new low. First entry short pullback, second entry short. Second entry short, failed second entry long, potential higher low. I'm not really sure what's going on. Prices are just coming off the bottom of a multiple test. And it also looked like it was bouncing off this support. So it was leaving me with a lot of conflicting ideas. And also looks like it's wedging. So all those in consideration, I honestly didn't know which way it was going to go. I didn't really have quite an inkling. So I called it. I mean, if you decided to bank long, first entry long pullback, second entry long with a higher low, with failed second entry short, I think it's more of an almost trade for me because when you see this, like, which way are you thinking, long or short? Well, it's making higher lows and also making lower highs. So it's hard to say. But if you took it, I think it's like an almost trade, kind of a bit of a gamble. Prices then continue moving up. I call this a fail breakout now because this might not have been a fail breakout. Could have been something a little bit higher, like this, in which case this could have been a failed breakout. This one actually wasn't, but in the real time, I consider this a failed breakout with the range down here. Failed breakout, prices come down, first entry long, pull back. Technically, you have a second entry long here, but this follow through is very weak, but I'm not thinking of going short either. Prices then continue chopping, pushes up. I saw this as a new low, first entry short, second entry short. I consider this a potential failed breakout as well. I like that to move one tick above and flush down close strongly at the lows. But for second entry short, you need to confirm break below. So it does break below. I was concerned that EMA might act as some kind of resistance, but keep in mind that the EMA isn't very reliable here. So I wasn't really sure what I was seeing. If it broke below this guy and engulfed it completely, I still wouldn't have really taken it because I'm not sure about this EMA. I would need a lower high. So that was what I was looking for. You technically get a lower high here, but it has a bad finish. So it closed kind of neutral. It didn't close at the low, so I didn't trust it. And then the next candle flushes through. So you have to let that trade go. Prices move down this orange down channel. So I'm thinking there's one leg down, sideways consolidation, potentially a second leg down. So I'm thinking something like this is developing. And I'm looking for it to touch the low. But it doesn't. It starts reversing back up. First, I was playing this green up channel, break, that's the high, but then it keeps going. Keeps chopping. There's no clean second entries. You do have a new low here. Technically, you have first entry short. You do have a second entry short. This is a bad signal bar, so you would not take a short. This follow through, this trigger bar, looks pretty nice, but it feels a little bit iffy. Pushes up. At this point, I draw this yellow up channel, starts pushing up. There's no clean second entries that I could find. There is a new high, first entry long, pullback. There's a second entry long here, but you're not going to, well, I'm not going to take a trade here because this is a doji signal bar. The follow through is pretty nice. It looks like it's bouncing off the EMA, but I did have a consideration that this could be in a green down channel at this point. Looked like if you did go long, it would have been enough for what quick 1 point scalp. If you try to reach for anything more, I think this candle would have stopped you out. So this is kind of a very quick trade that it does look like it would have worked, and does look like it follows a strategy. And it gets choppy here. It's a new low. It's a first entry short. Technically, you have a second entry short. Here, I'm not thinking of going short because it's a bad signal bar. Confirm second entry short. Then it looks like it's a second entry short failure, but this just looks congested. And I was thinking I'm in a range. Initially, the range I had was something closer to this because it looked like it touched better, more confirmations. Pushes up and out. It's a fail breakout here. So I consider this a potential localized low. First entry short, pullback, second entry short. Good signal bar to go short, but it broke below. Could be a fail breakout, I'm not sure. But then I wanted a lower high. You actually get a lower high here. And when this bar closes, you could maybe take a trade there, but I didn't. Prices continue moving down. If this green bar here was red, then I'm pretty sure I would have had my order here ready. But since it closed green, in real time, this is what I see. Then it finally flushes down, and I felt like, okay, I didn't take the trade. It didn't close until the very end, right at the EMA, so it felt like it was too late to take this trade. The first entry long, potential second entry long failure right here. Kind of pushes up and out. Seeing these two fail breakouts, that's when I actually dragged this a little bit higher, thinking, okay, maybe there's something closer to the here. It's a new low, excuse me, new high. It's a first entry long pullback, second entry long was a bad signal bar to go long on. And this engulfing one looks pretty nice. So after this close, I was worried that it was going to bounce, have a failed breakout pullback here, but it could just be a failed breakout and move back into range. I need to see what happens as it pushes and touches this EMA. But I did see that it was a new low here, first entry short, potential second entry short here. Here it's confirmed second entry short. So I actually thought this was a possible breakout pullback. So it's a failed breakout. It's actually going to continue downwards. So break of this green down channel, one attempt down. This could be the start of a second attempt. And it is rejection off this low of the range. So I took those into consideration. It's a good signal bar. And by the time this one closes, I think it probably would have been a possible trade. You'd have to sit through this. My stop would have been up here. And I'd have to sit through this noise and likely get my scalp. If I didn't get it here, get it here. Price then continue moving down. I had this channel as a trend line, and I actually started over here, but then I later dragged it and had a contact here. Pushes down, hits a new low, pushes up. I'm very interested in seeing a potential first entry short, potential second entry short, but this isn't a good signal bar yet. This is a follow through, potentially a good signal bar, but it never broke below this guy. So the trade never triggers because it's like one touch, two touch, three touch. So here I would potentially have my trade ready, but it never broke below, so you never get to fill. And by the time this closes, I'm canceling that order. It's also like first entry short, potential second entry short failure. The second entry short failure, it feels a little aggressive because it's a break of this yellow down channel. You're thinking it might come back, test the low. So this first break, expecting kind of a reversal, feels a little early. I need a higher low confirmation above the EMA to believe that prices are going to continue back up. The prices continue moving up. Here creates kind of a higher low. So it's a new low. It's a first entry short pullback. You get your second entry short here and a second entry short failure. Then it comes back up. You technically have a higher low here, but I saw it as a kind of visual first entry short, second entry short. Technically, it's like a third entry short and a fourth entry short, but I did see a potential higher low, but it never triggered. So actually, this doesn't belong here. In real time, I really wanted a higher low, and I wanted the bar to look closer to this thing, but it never triggered. Prices move up. So initially, I was playing this orange up channel, and then it looked like it was a break, two attempts up, and it comes crashing back down. Then I thought, okay, maybe it's actually this more transparent channel. And maybe this transparent channel is the first break. Maybe it's going to come back up and test the highs. It looks like it was one leg down, pull back, create a second leg down right here, barely. It was like first entry long, second entry long. This flashed up very quickly. Seeing this in real time was kind of confusing because I didn't know what was going on. It was stalling out here. Then all of a sudden, if you look at the timestamp here, this happened very quickly. From here, it just flashed up. I'm not sure what happened. I couldn't find any news items to justify why this would occur. I'm going to go ahead and delete this because it's not important. So it looks like a break, two legs up, two legs down. Looks like it's a measured leg. One leg down, two attempts up, and then a second leg down. Looks like it made the measure move. Looks like it's a visual first entry long, pullback, second entry long, and a potential fail breakout of this developing range. And I thought, okay, this might actually be a possible trade. It has a good signal bar. Orange up channel technically has tested the high, but if you're playing it this way, which I wasn't the biggest fan of, it could be a break, one attempt up. This could be the second attempt up to test the highs here. So it potentially could be a possible trade here. but I wanted a higher low confirmation, ideally above the EMA and pushing back into the range, because this could be a failed breakout pullback, similar to what happened here, like a failed breakout pullback. So I wanted a higher low, and you do get a higher low, but this higher low, it's very hard for me to have entered because when it flushed down and then it reversed back up very quickly, confirms the visual second entry long, but it pushed up really quick. And I think, oh, actually, it wasn't this bar, it was this bar that moved very quickly. Because if you look at the timestamp, this happened in less than 10 seconds. It just went flashed up. I think this was the one that was stalling, flashed up, pushed above the trading range, and then continued upwards. So if you did take a trade here, you'd have to have kind of been ready with an entry right above this guy, because if you try to take it here above here, I know for me, I don't know that I would have been quick enough to move my stop from here all the way down to here or down to here before this flash down, flash back up. So this is kind of like a crazy risky trade that just kind of came out of nowhere. Prices then continue moving up, hits a new high, localized new high, say first entry long pullback, second entry long. I was wondering if this is a potential second entry long trade. Keep in mind, this blue trading range doesn't exist yet. It was only after about this many candles that I drew it as a potential range. So it's a first entry long, potential second entry long. I didn't really like the close on this. It felt a little neutral to me, but in hindsight, maybe it's a possible trade. Then it breaks down, kind of gets congested, pushes back up, flushes down, and you just look to the right, excuse me, look to the left, and the whole day has just been just whippy, choppy sideways action. Pushes down, it's a localized high, it's a first entry long. Technically, I have a second entry long here. It's an inside bar though. Get this out of the way. Inside bar, so I wouldn't have gotten her trade ready. Pushes up and over, so I'm thinking, okay, here's a high, first entry long, second entry long. I'm looking for a higher low above, ideally above the EMA. And you don't really get a higher low. You do technically get a higher low confirming right here, but this is an inside bar, so it doesn't have good follow through. You can't really trust this. Flushes down, hops around. Looks like it's a visual first entry long pullback, second entry long. This isn't a very convincing signal bar. Follow through isn't very convincing either. Plus, you're running into the last 10 minutes of the day. Flashes up and pushes into the close. So it's kind of an interesting day. There was very choppy price action. It didn't feel quite as difficult as it did yesterday. And I took only one trade. And I think probably, let's see, maybe this trade, this second entry short might have been a possible trade. And this multiple test maybe have been worth a shot. So other than that, I'm just kind of happy with my one trade, just making sure I don't make any bad mistakes because yesterday's trading was a little sloppy. And so, yeah, hopefully tomorrow gets a little bit easier, or at least I can tell what's going on. So hopefully that was helpful.